YouTube, what's good, family? She will make some money back with another video. So y'all know that they just freed YFN Lucci and Young Thug. So they have the full story of the drive-by. Apparently something happened with YFN Lucci when he got locked up. They said he was spinning in a Maybach. In the back of the back, gang. So we about to get straight into this video. Let's watch it together. Let's watch it in. Let's go.
We don't know. Me and my sister, we were just walking down the street, and somebody just rolled down the street with a man hanging out the car. They just pushed him out the truck and left him for. Man, my sister said he was in the head. Yes, he was shot in the head. They threw him out the car. He just his last breath.
A popular Atlanta rapper wanted for murder is in jail this morning.
Bro, you're in a murder case. Your homeboy got in your car, and y'all tried to go slide, and your homeboy got that.
Oh, they locked him up for his homie down while sliding with him? He was sliding while being a famous rapper? Oh, he's different.
It happened on the night of December 10th, 2020, in southwest Atlanta. 4 men loaded into a white SUV. Their destination, an area of Atlanta known to be controlled by a rival crew. Behind the wheel was Rayshawn Bennett, better known as YFN Lucci. The plan, prosecutors would later say, was to strike first, a show of force, a warning, a message. Gunfire erupted from inside the SUV, but they weren't the only ones shooting. A second volley answered back. Chaos inside the car. One of the shooters, James Adams, took a bullet to the head. The SUV didn't stop. It kept moving. Bleeding and unconscious, Adams was dragged to the door. A witness would later describe it. A body hanging out of the vehicle, shoved from the moving car onto the pavement. He was still alive.
He was wanted in connection to the shooting of James Adams on People Street in December. Another person was hurt in that shooting and survived. Police say 3 people were tied to the crime. 2 other men are already charged.
At around 5:10 p.m., police were called to the 900 block of Demock Street, not far from People Street. When officers arrived, they found a man lying motionless on the ground, blood pooling beneath his head. A witness who called 911 told dispatchers they had seen Adams being pushed from a moving SUV. He hit the pavement face first. The car never stopped.
On December 10th, 2020, Atlanta police say they found 28-year-old James Adams in the face. They rushed him to a local hospital where he... A short time later, a second man, 32-year-old Kevin Wright, showed up to a nearby firehouse having been shot in the abdomen. He survived, and authorities gathered the 2 shootings were related.
As paramedics rushed to transport Adams to Grady Memorial Hospital, another report came in. A second man, Kevin Wright, had just shown up at a nearby fire station with a gunshot wound to the abdomen. It became obvious that he'd been injured in the same shooting. Police quickly realized this was not a random drive-by. It was a coordinated assault. And according to investigators, YFN Lucci's downfall started inside that white SUV.
We need to locate 29-year-old Rayshawn Bennett. He's wanted in connection with the shooting of 28-year-old James Adams on December 10th, 2020.
Before the body hit the pavement, before the indictment and the RICO case, Lucci was a rising star. Born in the Summerhill neighborhood in 1991, he grew up surrounded by music, struggle, and street pressure. By his teenage years, he was rapping under the name YFN Lucci. YFN, short for Young Fly, the same initials that would later show up in the police indictments.
Young Fly nigga about cash, because it got a BC at the end, so it's Young Fly nigga about cash.
In 2016, Lucci broke through with Keys to the Streets, a booming anthem featuring Migos and Trouble. The track spread fast. Blogs picked it up. The streets played it on loop. Lucci wasn't just local anymore. He followed it with the 2017 EP, Long Live Nut, a tribute to Big Nut, his mentor and close friend who had been shot and hit in Atlanta 2 years earlier. The project debuted at number 27 on the Billboard 200, and its lead single, Every Day We Lit, featured P&B Rock, climbed to number 33 on the Hot 100, making it Lucci's highest charted hit at the time.
We ain't ready to start competition and try and compete with each other.
Yeah.
If it is, it's friendly competition, like, you know what I mean, and inspiring each other to go hard.
Like, oh man, I gotta go in. My boy just went hard.
I
gotta go hard.
Real talk.
But not like, oh, I gotta be better than it. you know. No, we family. If he get better than me, hey, we
you
family.
You might have to go and redo your verse.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah.
In interviews, Lucci played the role of a quiet grinder, someone who made it out, someone who was staying solid. But the deeper he got into fame, the more the streets followed him in. He was one of the faces of YFN, a crew tied to the Bloods, with heavy influence in both Atlanta and Miami. He was shooting music videos in housing projects no other rapper could enter, posting from blocks like the Pork and Beans in Overtown, Florida. Prosecutors would later claim these weren't just rap shoots. They were signs of leadership inside a criminal enterprise. Lucci, for his part, kept putting out music. The music made it sound like competition. The streets knew better. This was war. YFN and YSL are two rap crews with deep roots in Atlanta, both linked to the Bloods, both building reputations, and both watching each other closely. At the center of YSL was Young Thug, the eccentric superstar from Cleveland Avenue. On the other side, Lucci from Summerhill, backed by the name of a man who was already deceased. Before Lucci and Thug exchanged threats, before the gang...
For this to all be built upon like they beef, ain't it crazy how both of them got free? Both of them got found not guilty. Meanwhile, they dropping all this info about stuff that they allegedly was doing to each other. But they beat the case. That's different.
Escalated came January 10th, 2015, a date that changed everything. That day, Donovan Thomas Jr., known around Atlanta as Big Nut, was executed in a drive-by shooting outside a barbershop in Castleberry Hill. He was 26. Reliable sources confirm he was hit by mass assailants in a passing car. Nut was more than just a victim. He was Lucci's close friend and mentor. His passing shocked the city and fueled immediate suspicion and rumors. Many in Lucci's camp believed YSL-affiliated shooters were behind the attack. When Fulton County prosecutors later unveiled the RICO case in 2021 and 2022, they labeled this feud a criminal enterprise, citing these incidents as a part of a systematic war. The shooting on December 10th, 2020, triggered an immediate manhunt for those involved, with the big name at the center, YFN Lucci.
An Atlanta rapper wanted for... Atlanta police are searching for rapper YFN Lucci in connection to the shooting of two men. The rapper, whose real name is Rashawn Bennett, is charged with in the death of James Adams. Adams was in Atlanta about a month ago on Peoples Street. Another man who was shot is recovering from his injuries.
Local authorities confirmed that two men had already been arrested, yet police were still searching for Lucci.
It's important. He's not accused of actually shooting someone. He's accused of being the driver in a drive-by where they were shooting at other people. And the fellow who was sitting next to him who was shooting at the other people was by return fire. But because he was in an act that was criminal, like his is a and Lucci eats the felony murder charge as a result.
He had been identified as the alleged driver of the SUV.
A special thanks to the Miami Police Department, the Miami-Dade Police Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami, and the FBI Field Office in Miami for the apprehension of Mr. Boyd and Mr. Pitts.
A $5,000 reward was offered for information leading to Lucci's location. On January 13, 2021, Lucci turned himself in, arriving at Fulton County Jail in custody.
Atlanta police told Inside Edition Digital that rapper YFN Lucci, a staple in the Atlanta hip-hop scene, has turned himself in on several charges, including...
He was booked on 4 charges: felony homicide for Adams, aggravated assault, participation in criminal street gang activity, and possession of a firearm during a felony.
One day later, he was driving with that SUV with 3 gentlemen who were from Miami, a couple of who were aspiring to be musicians as well, rappers. And they drove through an area of town and a shootout ensued. And one of the people in his car, he was driving. So the only thing that Lucci, who's Ray to us, we all call him Ray, the only thing that he ever did was hold on to the steering wheel. One of the guys in the back seat was shot.
Authorities confirmed James Adams was a member of Lucci's crew. At his first court appearance, Lucci's legal team disputed the charges, saying a preliminary review of the evidence found no basis for the hit charges. But their arguments weren't enough for now. Lucci was held without bond, left in Fulton County Jail as prosecutors built their case. By April 2021, the shooting that hit James Adams had become more than a hit. It was part of a sweeping RICO indictment.
As time went on, that case became a RICO case. And so apparently there were other investigative efforts that have been taking place globally in the city of Atlanta during a period of years. And they kind of swallowed up the December 10th incident and made it a RICO case with a total of 11 people, incorporating all the events of December 10th.
A 105-count grand jury in Fulton County handed down charges against Lucci and 11 others, alleging they were part of a blood-affiliated gang called YFN, accused of racketeering, felonies, and violent crimes. The district attorney called it a wide-ranging 6-month investigation targeting those who use music and street retaliations to bolster their gang's power. Prosecutors linked Lucci to more than just a drive-by hit. He was accused of organizing a criminal enterprise, leveraging his fame and crew to wield power in Atlanta and beyond. They allege he tried to hide the vehicle and guns used in the December 2020 shooting. The indictment cited posts and lyrics, including a social media line said to read, "When I get drunk, I think about dropping bodies." Prosecutors argued such content showcased gang intent and promoted retaliatory attacks for reputation.
They were trying to say that YFN was, that he was part of YFN, which was associated with the Bloods. And of course, they were introducing music and serving us with, music. And as I told Lucci, I've listened to so much of his music, not for any reason other than to try to figure out how there was some relationship between him and Bloods because of, red clothing.
The indictment also detailed an August 2020 incident where Lucci allegedly strangled a man for playing music tied to rival gangs, then attempted to bribe him into silence. In court, Lucci's attorney, Drew Feinling, pushed back hard, being quoted as saying he's not a gang member, he's an internationally recognized musical artist. Taking him out of his rap career and labeling him a leader is something this law was never built to do. Feinling argued lyrics and Instagram posts are artistic expression, not indictments. But for prosecutors, these were proof of intent and coordination, forming the backbone of the RICO charges. As a result, Lucci faced not just one hit charge, but the risk of decades behind bars, as prosecutors argued he was the leader of a violent criminal enterprise.
They know it was your car, they know you was driving. Like, bro, it's not, you're going to jail regardless. That's the thing. He's going to jail regardless. Now, they just want you to basically ruin your whole name and, oh, snitch on Thugger. And snitch on Thugger for what? Nigga, you was beefing with. How can you snitch on Thugger? You can't snitch on Thugger about shit. Nigga, y'all niggas was beefing. Y'all was at war.
But Fulton County Jail wasn't just holding Lucci, it was holding enemies. On February 9th, 2022, court documents and media reports revealed that Lucci had been stabbed from behind by an inmate wielding a homemade shank, all while he was on a video call. Surveillance video of the stabbing was later leaked online, and according to court findings, this wasn't random. There were accusations that 2 associates of YSL crew worked to get permission from Young Thug to make a second attempt to hit Lucci inside jail. Lucci's legal team filed an emergency bond motion claiming his life was in danger. They stated he was stabbed with a homemade weapon. He is being housed in protective custody, but despite precautions, he was still attacked. Despite their urgency, the judge again denied bond, citing his prior violations and risk to public safety. The case took another turn when the spotlight shifted to another Atlanta superstar, Young Thug. The state of Georgia brought forward its YSL RICO indictment, a sweeping case that named over 24 defendants, and prosecutors saw a potential star witness, Lucci. But Lucci never folded.
But you gotta think too though, Lucci was willing to hold it down. Lucci wasn't gonna testify.
Despite a history of street retaliations between the two camps, and even after allegedly being stabbed in jail by YSL affiliate inmates, Lucci refused to cooperate. In public filings, his lawyer Drew Feinling made it clear Rashawn Bennett, Lucci, was not testifying in any trial. He has not been offered anything in exchange for testimony, and he would never accept such an offer.
We continued to say we want nothing to do with YSL case, with nothing to do with it. But we felt the prosecution was talking out of both sides of their mouth. On the one hand, they're calling him a victim, right? Saying he's a victim. And they're going to one courtroom and saying he's a victim, and another courtroom saying he should get life without parole. Because remember, in Georgia, that felony case was an LWOP case, carried life without parole. And our position was consistently, you can't have it both ways.
Through court drama, jail attacks, and social pressure, Lucci stuck to a single code: don't snitch.
We've been very clear publicly, which was very important to Ray, that everybody be well aware of the fact that he's not testifying in any case. And I think I've said before, you know, he wouldn't even testify in a traffic ticket, so he's not going to testify in another courtroom. He wants to be as far from courtrooms as possible. He sat through over 2 weeks of jury selection. I know it's enough to burn out most people, and he's one of them.
His silence didn't just guard his freedom, it set the stage for the deal that would follow. For nearly 3 years, Lucci sat in jail, fighting charges that could have ended his life as he knew it. But behind the scenes, things were shifting. His attorney, Drew Filing, a powerhouse known for representing high-profile artists like Boosie, kept pushing, kept negotiating.
Drew is one, he got a passion for what the criminal system are doing to the rap. That's one of his passions. He don't like that at all, bro. He see that we good people, you know. He don't look at us like somebody else would, and he's one of the best at it, man.
And then something broke. In January 2024, just as jury selection was wrapping up, after more than 100 jurors had been questioned, Lucci's legal team quietly struck a deal with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
At the end of the second week of jury selection, things started developing, at first at 20 miles an hour, and then eventually at 120 mile an hour pace. And during the third week of jury selection, so going to your point earlier, we had just questioned 115 potential jurors. We still had another week and a half of jury selection, but we were deep in the process. I mean, opening statements were ready, cross-examinations were prepared. I mean, we were in the game.
It was dramatic, swift, and unexpected.
When the case came to a sudden, dramatic end, I can't really give you the behind the scenes, but I can tell you that we were stubborn from the very beginning on what was acceptable to us and what was not acceptable to us. And first and foremost was we wanted nothing to do with the death of Mr. Adams on December 10th of 2020.
Lucci pled guilty to one count of violating the Georgia Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act.
How do you plead to count 69 in indictment 23 SC 188921?
In exchange, all remaining charges, including felony hit, were dropped. He was sentenced to 20 years, with 10 years to serve on probation, and time already served counting towards the remainder. Even more surprising, prosecutors agreed to submit a letter to the parole board in support of Lucci, noting his cooperation with the plea and good conduct in jail.
He pled to being an associate in a gang-related charge, and he got a 10-year sentence with 10 years of probation. Because of the charge, because it wasn't the homicide charge. The homicide charge would have required 85% of the 10 years. The RICO would have required substantial amount of the 10 years. But because of the charge that he pled to, under the parole guidelines, he's eligible in 1/3 of 10 years.
Lucci walked out shortly after the hearing.
All right, y'all, that was the full story what happened with Lucci. First off, I didn't know he was sliding while already rapping. I didn't know they actually gave him football numbers. I thought he just completely beat the case, but they gave him 10 with time served, and he got 10 years with them tracking him on his shoulder right here. You don't got no mistakes left. Like, well, that's stressful. Appreciate y'all for watching this video. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and just watch another video. I'll see you in the next one.